I will tell you, I only took the pictures that I had, so if I don't have something, you need to get them to the board members so they can scan them in and get them going, okay? I'd like to thank Sue for viewing probably 5,000 slides with me because my dad took slides like you wouldn't believe, and pictures too. And then I'd like to thank Jake up there for putting the slideshow so it makes sense. I've been retired for 10 years, and I used to do this all the time, but when you're retired, it's kind of a load and dump. You dump out what you don't need because the brain cells are getting smaller. And then I like Sandy, thank you for the cake, and then Tammy helped with the flowers, and then Bill and Zoe brought the nuts and mints, so thank you guys. Now keep in mind these are very old pictures, some of them are new, but some of them scanned well, some of them didn't. And I gotta say guys, I only had one picture of the church board meeting, which kind of makes me wonder if you really do meet or not. So, you know. Okay, Jake. This is the groundbreaking, and I know most of you in here don't know Mrs. Ingus, but she was a driving force in this congregation. She's the reason I know all the words to God Loves Me Dearly, because she preached them to us like no tomorrow. And the guy digging the shovel there, this is at the beginning of the church, is my brother Steve, and then I'm behind him. But Mrs. Ingus was one of the oldest members in the church, and she played her part as the matriarch. Next. This is the laying of the cornerstone. And kids, if you don't know where the cornerstone is, it's right in this corner of the church on the outside. And they laid that in 1963. And if I remember right, there is a tube of information or something that they laid behind it. I don't know what they call that, a time capsule. But anyway, that is my dad and Pastor Widsky. Pastor Widsky baptized, confirmed, married, and baptized my children. So he was here just a little while. But this is in 62 was when they laid the stone, and it says 63 on it, but it was done somewhere through there. And then not long after that, they had church services in the basement of the church here. And the little program thing, it's got a timeline in it, and I apologize, I didn't do a very good job copying because you kind of have to jump around for the years. But you'll also see that we started out in the Presbyterian church that is now catty corner from Mahaska State Bank's drive-through. And it was a huge church, and then the pastor had an apartment up above. And we went from there to the Farm Bureau building, and we were in the basement of the Farm Bureau until this church was built. And it was funny because I remember Bill McGrew and my dad on scaffolding up there staining the roof. And many of you don't know Bill McGrew, but he was a lot of fun, and they had a lot of fun doing it because it took them a long time. But it was a good thing for the church because they all got together.
Did they have scaffolding to do it? You know?
Yes. They didn't have lifts, they had scaffolding. Yeah, and like I said, they had a good time up there. Okay, the next slide is Pastor Wietsky and my dad. Pastor was blessing the church before they entered. And it was, even us kids listened because we didn't know what he was doing, you know. And so we listened, and they blessed the church before they entered. And that's my dad with Pastor. Next. These you'll kind of recognize. The first one's my dad. Back behind is Richard Heinrich, Shirley's husband. And then Ronnie Utchin, which is Linda Utchin's husband. And then Harold Rice, which is Carolyn's dad. And then they're back in the corner. I'm not sure who that is. But the head you see off to the edge there, that's my Uncle George Tasinski. And most of those people are gone. So it's kind of sad, but they were real staunch. And I want you to look at the dress of back in the 60s and how we come to church now. You know, it's pretty relaxed. Next. This is something I don't know how many of you know about, but they used to have a slow-pitch softball team. And they had more fun than a barrel of monkeys. And it didn't matter if they were in the field or if the job called them away, they always took time for this softball team. And they had a ball on it. And those up there, you can tell, the first one on the bottom is Alvin Van Manen, and then Pastor Witzke and Bill McGrew. And I'm not sure about the couple on the end or the next two, but the last one up there on top is my dad and my brother Joe and my brother Steve. But they would stop everything to go play, and they played on the field just down from the pool at Edmondson is where they played. And to say the least, Pastor Witzke had quite an arm on him. He could get him out faster than anybody I know of, and they just loved it. They had a ball doing it. Next. This is the future where we've already dug the parsonage in 1989, and now we're moving on to the addition, which is in the back. And Pastor Newman is digging the first shovel there in 1998. It was the groundbreaking for the addition, which now I don't know how we ever got along without it. Next. This is Sue Van Wyk and Carolyn and Jason. And I was hoping to find the picture of them when they were like 4.5 or 5 at the groundbreaking of the church, and I couldn't find it. But we have the same picture, just like that, only without Jason. And you see all the people there that came to the groundbreaking. Next, this is Ronnie Utchin and Bob Stanky. Bob was a good supporter of the church, and so was Ronnie. And so next is Jerry and my dad. And look at Jerry. Now, have you seen him like that before with that much hair? And all the people in the background. The little guy in the check shirt is Harold Heineck, which is Andrew Heineck's brother, little brother. So, okay, next. This is when they were pouring the foundation. And the picture over there, that is my mom, Alice Ferguson, Pastor Newman and Tim, Ron Utchin, Homer Ferguson, Ann Schultz, and David Newman. So if you look at how young everybody is, it's kind of amazing.
Is David the one with the shovel?
He's the one over by Ann over there. Tim's the one with the shovel.
Oh.
David's go to the right.
Yeah. Next. This is something I really wanted to get pictures of the organist, and we still need to do that because we don't have them. We don't have the old organists, which would be Gloria and my mom and some of those other ones. And even Mrs. Ingus was an organist. So that's how far back it goes. But we need to get a picture of them. This is when they installed the new organ. And about that same time, they remodeled the kitchen downstairs. Next.
What year was that?
87, I think. Yeah, 87.
When did you get air conditioning then? Because once you got the organ, did you have to get air conditioning?
No, that came with the addition.
Yeah, that came with the addition. Yeah. Believe me, my wedding was without air conditioning, and you could go sliding across the basement floor. I mean, it was hot. And Susie's was even hotter. Her wedding was in July and mine was in June, but hers.
Mine was in August and it was the hottest of all.
Yeah. I agree. There's nothing that says you're going to wear makeup in pictures like that. And in our wedding, I had just had oral surgery and I had bruise crossed here and I couldn't smile. And I wanted makeup, so they took all the pictures from this side. Okay, next. This is the one and only picture I have of board members meeting. The one and only. From right to left is Steve Snyder, Steve Tennyson, Dick Dusenberry, Pastor Newman, Ernie Stanky, Marvin Van Heften, Fred Rice, Dave Piper, and the next one I don't know, and then standing up is my dad. So you might want to consider taking a few more pictures, guys. I mean, unless you want these guys to be the ones voting for you, and most of them are dead, you know, so give me another picture. Yeah.
That gives what you said just a little while ago, what a blessing the addition was, or is. That was the back of the church.
Yeah.
There was no place for shelf fellowship after service. In the wintertime, people had a hard time getting their coats on.
Yep.
Because it was just so congested back there. But that's the way it was for the years. So.
Got beautiful paneling. Don't you just love it? Next. Okay, Ladies' Aid, we've got a few more pictures. These are the ladies that helped pack up the boxes that they collected the long underwear for Ukraine. And we had such a wonderful response, and I thank everybody that donated money or donated long underwear, and I'm sure it was greatly appreciated over there. And most of you know Sandy, Carolyn, Rosemary, and Ruth, so that was just recently. And it's sad that we have to have Ukraine have to have that kind of stuff to stay warm, but we're fortunate we can send it over. It is kind of hard to send things over. We found that out with the quilts. So, okay, next. Okay, the other thing the men didn't do is they never took group pictures. And if you look at the women, we kind of did that on a regular basis. This first picture, I'm not sure who the first one is, but the next one is Sue Van Wyk, and then myself, and Ruth and Rosemary, Martha Rice, which is Carolyn's mom, Carolyn Pfeiffer, Shirley Moore, who I'm not sure how anybody would know Shirley unless she was here, because her family didn't come. Yeah. And then Tammy Hodges. And Tammy's always dressed up so nice with that rose on her sweatshirt. And the next picture over there is Barb Van Heften, Judy McGrew, who was married to Bill McGrew, Alice Ferguson, and then the next is Sandy Dusenberry, Sue Van Wyk, Margaret Tosinski, which was my aunt, Adeline Farrington, myself, and then there's one between Carolyn and myself that I don't know who it is. And then there's Beth Schultz, Ann Schultz, and another one I don't know who it is. I think it's Karen Giese is who I think it is. And then Martha Rice and Pastor. So guys, just get on the stick a little more. The ladies take a lot of pictures.
Any idea how recent, what year that one on the right is?
Oh, man.
For that one?
No,
Let's say.
yeah, I would say 80s just by looking at my clothes. You know, so it's
Early 80s, maybe.
yeah, I think so. It would have been after I had Molly maybe and Matthew, so they were born in the 70s. So, okay, next. Now this is something else the ladies used to do, and they don't do it now, but it was fun. They'd get together with different congregations, or they'd go out to eat as a group. And some of the congregations they went to meet with and eat with were Newton, Fort Dodge, and Des Moines. So they would meet with the ladies of that group, and then one of the pastors would have a study while they were there at a smorgasbord or whatever. And some of them, they just met and talked and had a good time. And let's see if I get this right. On this first one, it's Rosemary and David. He's kind of tiny. My mom and Ann Schultz and Kathy Schultz, Gacina Crum, Gloria Peckin and her mother, Hazel Braw and Edie Benedict. And I don't know if any of you remember any of those, but I do. The next picture on the top is Rosemarie, Sandy Dusenberry, Gusina Karam, Alice Utchin, Hazel Braw, Ann Schultz, Gloria Peckin and her mother, Alice Ferguson and Berta Vinner. And then the bottom one, I think this might be like an officer's picture, is Ann Schultz, Susan Den Hartog, Carolyn Pfeiffer, Sandy Dusenberry, and the back row is Berta Vinner, Rosemarie, and Sue. They all seem to get together quite a bit and have a little bit of fun. It was kind of nice. Next. Now we're getting older here. This was with Newton and I think Fort Dodge. And I have no clue on some of them. But Minnie Schultz is in there, which would have been Bob Schultz's mother, Pastor Wietzke, Mrs. Ingus, Margaret Tusinski, Anna Tusinski, and Anna Heineck. So there's quite a bunch in there. And they'd meet and they'd go to dinner, and like I said, they'd have a good time, and sometime they had a speaker, sometime it was the minister, you know. It's whatever they wanted to talk about. Next. This is the one when they met with the Fort Dodge ladies. And see that beautiful brown coat on that little girl? That is me. I'm standing next to my grandma, Anna Tusinski, and Lizzie Rybarchuk and Margaret Tusinski. In the back row is Alice Ferguson, Anna Heineck, Agnes Elliott, Mrs. Ingus, Minnie Schultz, and Pastor Wietzke. And I'm not sure who the gentleman is that drove the Fort Dodge. I almost think it's Lizzie's husband. Is that Uncle John or Joe? Uncle Joe? He'd be a great uncle, a Rybarchuk. Okay, now we're going to move on to confirmation. Oh, no, we have another ladies' aid one. Boy, I'm off a slide then. These two, if you start, it's a lot of the same people that are sitting down. But over there, Bob Stanky, for the longest time, donated Christmas trees to the church. And they were big and they were stickery. I don't know how he ever got them. But that's Mr. and Mrs. Axelingus standing in front of it. And they were just such pillars of this church. It was unbelievable what all the things they did.
When we used to go Christmas caroling in the youth group
Yeah.
to their house, she always wanted a silent night, and she would just have tears running down her face. I can always
Yeah.
remember that.
Well, she was in the hospital once, and this is when I was in respiratory therapy. I had to draw blood gas. Well, anybody that's ever drawn blood from old people, it's like trying to stick a big needle in a rubber hose. She's the only one I ever missed and had to poke a second time. And she told me to go home and practice. And she was probably the 100th one I did, you know, it's just, but she says, you know that hurts, don't you? And I said, yeah, I know, it feels like a bee sting. She goes, no, more like a wasp, you know, so, but she was just a fun lady, and she gave us so much as far as religion and respect for the church.
I remember we used to do that Christmas carol, and I remember Dad threw me in a car with you and Sue
Yeah.
one time, and we went around, and I was like, what am I doing here?
Yep. But it's fun. I mean, we used to do it, and it was fun, and I don't know.
Who was the Mrs. Ingus that cried if our choir was good?
That's excellent.
That was her.
Yeah.
It would be her. She would just cry and cry. Adeline did it too. Adeline Farrington, which would have been her daughter. She was,
This one too, really.
yeah.
Okay, well, if we didn't say they didn't cry.
Okay, next. Well, we had a few weddings in the church. And Pastor and Rosemarie didn't actually get married in our church, but they were married in Illinois. But Dad took this picture, and it's pretty good. And then there's that other young couple over there that did get married in our church. And Mark, is that your brother that's standing next to you? And that's your sister, right? Yeah. And it looked like it was a beautiful wedding.
It was hot.
Yeah.
Yes, very hot.
Yeah, you lost weight. You didn't have to worry about the wedding gown fit. But these are just a couple, and you can go to the next slide. These are a couple more. This is Georgia and Ben Comer. She used to be a Tusinski. She was my uncle's daughter. And then this is Pastor and Charlotte. And what I want you to look at too in this, look at the difference in the wall behind him. I mean, that was cement wall, and that's what I had when I got married too. And we tried to decorate, and all the decorations fell down because the walls were sweating so bad, and nothing would stay up there.
We used that same punch bowl.
Oh, did you? Yeah. It was around a long time, but I think it got chipped or something.
We just used it for whose baby shower.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I just hauled that thing over to Megan.
Oh my gosh, that thing is so heavy.
It was very happy.
Yeah.
But it's pretty.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Next. This is the choir, and I only had 2 pictures of the choir. And the first picture is Jerry Vanderpool, Ron Etchen, Pastor Newman, Martha Rice, Renee Van Zomeren, and I think it's Karen Giese, and there's another one I don't know, and Rosemary Newman and Carolyn Pfeiffer. Now, that slide is beautiful, and they were always beautiful. And I think they sang back there because that's where the piano was.
Yes,
Yeah. The next one always gets to my heart is when they went to sing for Barb Van Heften at hospice.
In the hospice.
And she sang along with them with all our favorite songs. And I don't think the choir could do anything better than what they did for Barb.
Oh, we had so much trouble singing because we were always weeping.
Yes, everybody was crying because Barb was dying. But
For those of you who are newer here, Barb was our organist,
Yes.
our main organist, I would say, prior to the death. And she was an amazing organist.
yeah, she was Marvin Hefton's wife. And beautiful quilter. She used to come quilting, and she was just very good. And this is one of the things choir did that I think was probably the best thing they could ever do. It was just beautiful. Okay, next. Now we're into confirmation. And I know there's more pictures of confirmation because when I was confirmed, they had professional photographers come and take pictures. And now I don't know where all the pictures are, and I don't know where all the other ones were that we had. They used to be on the back of an old piano, and they were all set up there somewhere. But the first one is Pastor Witzke and my cousin Shirley Tusinski. The second one, Pastor, are they Farrington boys or Ingus boys?
I wasn't here at that time.
Really? Oh.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I came in July, that was April of
They
81.
would have been English.
Were they Inguses?
Yeah,
They were honoring her and the day is long.
yeah.
And I don't know who the girl in the center is, but
Adeline,
no, it wouldn't have been Adeline, I don't think.
almost looks like Shirley.
But it's Steve and Alan, I know that much. The next one is Harold Heineck, my sister Carla, and Lynn Ann Schilling, and then Pastor Davidson in the back. That's another thing we don't have a lot of is pictures of our pastors. And it would be kind of neat if we had like a little place where we have one picture of all the pastors we've had. So, next. This is my son Matthew, Terry Giese, and Becky Van Heften, and Pastor Newman. And the other one is Pastor Witzke, my brother Steve, Bobby Schultz, and Jane Benedict. Some of you may know Jane. Earlier she was coming to Bible study for a while. She'd drive him from Des Moines. But she was a lot of fun too. Okay, next. This one is Jenny Benedict and Sandy McGrew, Kathy Schultz, my honorary brother Joe, and Pastor Witzke. And then the top one, let's see, Mary, do you know who that is? it would have been Mary Gutch, Troy Schilling, and who's the girl with you? Do you remember? She doesn't look familiar to me at all.
Was that Angie Dretzky?
That sounds familiar. Yeah, I think it was Angie. She, like, they didn't go to church here, but she came for catechism, right?
Okay,
Yeah, I think they were at the Newton congregation.
Yeah.
okay. And the bottom picture is my daughter Molly, and John Paul Giese, and Mitch Schminke, and Ryan Havlicek. And the Havliceks came from like Hedrick area to church here.
Confirmation class.
Okay, next.
What was your first confirmation class?
Joey Hughes is very hard.
Okay, these are more familiar, and thanks to Danny, we have slides. Danny, who is the first girl in this slide, on this slide?
Brianna Covey.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I know who you're talking about. And Maddie Cryle, and then Anna, and then Danny and Aaron, and is that Philip?
Mm-hmm. And it's Kathy, not Anna.
Oh, is it Kathy?
Catherine, yep.
Yep, Catherine it is. Gosh. Yes, she is. And then is that Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob Shem.
Yeah. And the next picture is Loke and his brother Lawrence, and Ruthie and Aaron and Danny. And they went on all these wonderful trips with the kids when they'd go to these youth rallies. And I think they had a pretty good time most of the time. And we need to thank Danny and Aaron, because that's a lot of work to herd teenagers. Next.
And before that, Brian Darcy took them too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian and
Yeah.
Darcy did that before. So.
Long time ago when we didn't have a pastor, Jerry and I did it. We got in a little trouble because we took them to the cemetery on Hayride for Halloween, but they got over it. This group is William, Nett, Alistair, Carlin, Aaron, and Loke. And then I think I have Jacob, and then this is Catherine and Maddie and the Covey girl. What's her first? Brianna. And then I don't know, Philip's in the background, but I'm not sure who else is there. Is it you guys?
We had a girl with us, her name was Trey.
Okay, okay. I wasn't sure, so we're trying to
I think
keep.
she actually came from Minnesota to travel with us.
Oh, really? She was probably a only person from the church or something, yeah. That's awesome. Next. Okay, we have Carlin, Danny, and Angela. And then we have Angela, Carlin, Loke, Alistair, and I'm not sure who the next ones are on that. They look like they're having fun though, aren't they? Next. This, well, what is this? Is that a subway tunnel or?
It was a tunnel going down to the largest underground lake in the United States.
Oh, wow. It looks fun. I mean, and you can kind of see everybody in these pictures and know who they are. Who's the boy next to William?
That's Blake Ernie on the right.
Okay, okay, okay. And next? And this is, which I thought this was a great thing to do for him. They went to the replica of Noah's Ark and got to see actually how the size that boat was, you know. It's not small by any means.
Yeah, Ruthie's group, that one group, you guys got to stay all night in the ark.
Yeah, that was neat. Next. Now we're into Sunday school. And kids, do you recognize anybody in that picture? There's a lot of them in there. And most of them like to sing. That's the good part. Next. And here's some more. And I know this is a Trefane that's teaching, but is that your older sister? Tanya? Okay. I knew it was a Trefane. And then Carolyn Piper's in the back. And this little guy smiling in front is Andrew Piper. And some of the other ones, like the Snyder girls in here, and I think that's a Stice there too. And I apologize for this picture, it's not any better, but it is a kind of a fun picture, so. Next. Okay, and here we have Diane Schaefer's teaching, and Lori's in there. And then we have Carolyn Pfeiffer up there teaching too. And the little guy in the blue is my nephew Jeremy. Next. Okay, here Barb is doing crafts with the kids, and she always did amazing crafts in Bible school with those kids. I don't know where she'd come up with them. And they'd always listen to her. I mean, that's my daughter Molly, and Molly never listened to anybody, you know, but she'd listen to Barb. And then the picture over there, if you can pick out Justin Scott, he's in the picture. And if you've ever heard a pastor and I talk about Teddy, that little guy on the bottom of the picture there on the top there, that's Teddy. Teddy made Sunday school more like prison guards, is what teachers were. Teddy just, I don't know, what would you say, Pastor? I don't know what his last name is. You know, I block things like that. Yeah, he was very unique, to put it bluntly. And then the lower picture, I think we've had that one already. I didn't realize it. Okay, next. Now up in the top is Mary Heineck, Troy Schilling, and Kathy Heineck. The two are sisters. And then over here we have Amber Ferguson and Jeremy Van White. And these guys all look pretty familiar. They're pretty up to date. So next. And these guys, they always loved to sing. I think it was because they got to get up out of their seat and they got to wiggle a little bit. And I know Kathy does a good job with them, getting them moving. And that's what they need and love. So next. And this was the end of Bible school. If you didn't get to see that, it was beautiful. And you know, Danny and I worried about making costumes, but what did it take us maybe 2, 3? Yeah, and we had them made. We didn't sew them or nothing, we just cut them. And the kids did such a good job. And little Elliot's, he was the king. So, but it turned out great.
And the author was great.
Yes, Gabe did a great job doing that. He really did. He, I think he made it memorable for the kids too because of the story he told. Next. Just some things. I'd like you to look at everything back on the table. Try not to take it because it is historical. And if you have items and pictures and stuff, you need to get them to the board members because they need to document it, and somehow they need to carry this on from here. Because if I find more pictures, I know Shirley gave me some great pictures of when they were digging for this church, and I'll scan those and get them in the group too. But we need to have a better trail of where we've been and where we're going. Because there were a lot of pastors I didn't find pictures of. We had a lot of, if you look in your little program thing, there were several pastors that we don't have pictures of. I mean, we had the one at Davidson in the confirmation, but we really don't have the pictures like we should of some of the ones we've had. We had vacancy pastors for a while until Pastor Newman came, and so we need to do a better job of marking our history.
Well, even
So-
baptismal things,
We didn't have any baptism pictures at all.
and, some of that stuff, so if you got pictures, get them here so we can put them on Facebook or whatever, so.
Or
that-
not Facebook, but just as a record. Yeah, Mark?
When I came in this morning, I went to Linda Etcham, I said, well, my hand put my hand on it, I said, you really been going to church here for 80 years. And she goes, well, no, not quite that long, but she goes, it's my favorite place to be.
Yeah. Well, and Ronnie was such a neat guy. He was too. He did. So I thank you for taking the time to watch the little slideshow. I hope you've gained a little more history. And like I said, if you can scan them in and send them, we'll send them to the board members and they can figure out what to do, because they only have one picture. So, you know, they need to get busy. Huh?
I thought there was an old box with a bunch of pictures downstairs.
There could be. I never looked for it.
That's Katie Scott, if he knows where they're at. I thought they were in that furnace room, maybe I'm wrong, okay?
Well, they're probably all the confirmation pictures that used to be on the piano, which I hope they are, because then we could, you know, have photo records of people.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. And just keep up the history, guys. And again, I apologize for the little brochure, and if there's some out there, please take them. So, thanks.
Pastor Witzke came to my house to give me the teaching, and then I was confirmed 61 years ago.
Wow.
Pastor Witzke.
Yeah, well, like I said, he baptized, confirmed, married, and baptized my kids. Yeah. So.
I always thought he was Jesus because he was so tall.
He didn't have the authority like Mrs. Inges, so.